sticking with the BBC, it looks like that we've got a bit of a BBC boycott going on, not because of Doctor Who, no, but because of the TV licence fee increase, which admittedly isn't the £15 that it was rumoured to be. It's apparently now going to be £10.50, but that is still a pea taken amount in my opinion. Especially for people who don't actually want to watch the BBC at all and just want to watch either streaming or live TV, like a sports game on Sky Sports or whatever, but because of that live element, they've got to actually pay the BBC a TV licence fee, which now is going to cost them a tenner more. And let's face it, could buy you a few pints. But the article says that the BBC has been warned it faces a growing TV licence revolt, with Britons furious at the fee hike and branding it an insult, with campaigners warning that the BBC faces a mass boycott. And the sooner that happens, in my opinion, the better, because hopefully then the BBC will realise you can't just take an appeal all the time, which is what appears to be happening here, because we've often heard that the BBC has to cut back to say £500 million, but then again, if they're getting £10 extra from each person who has a TV licence, then surely wouldn't that make up that £500 million, or maybe even more? And whether the BBC likes it or not, surely they have to realise that the more they raise the fee, the more people are going to get peed off with it and cancelled altogether. I mean, let's face it, quite a lot of young people out there, my son included, doesn't actually watch the BBC. And more often than not, it is the older generation who do. But the BBC just doesn't seem to realise that, do they? And instead of focusing programmes towards the older generation, who are quite a lot of the time their loyal audience, they seem to be doing the opposite and just peeing them off in general. Other TV companies out there realise that their programming has to be top notch, otherwise people won't watch it and then they'll lose advertising revenue. The BBC surely needs to start thinking about things like that, because whether they like it or not, in 2027 when the Royal Charter ends, hopefully that won't get renewed. But then again, of course, if we've got a Labour government in, which is kind of looking quite likely, unfortunately in my opinion, then I'm guessing that'll probably be a big sigh of relief for the BBC, who no doubt will cosy up to Labour even more than what they appear to do already, and will have no worry that their TV licence will be cancelled, because let's face it, I think if Labour get in, then the BBC will keep their outdated, in my opinion, TV licence. And the article also says the South East Cambridgeshire MP launched a funding review on Thursday, looking at whether the licence fee should be reformed so it's fair to fee payers and more sustainable to the BBC, and said on Friday that threatening to send people to jail, or prison as it's known in this country, for not paying the levy was something that she personally feels morally indefensible in modern times. And yes, to be honest, she's got a point, hasn't she? She's obviously the culture secretary. There is not one streaming company on earth that I know that if you don't decide to pay them, then you can actually go to prison for. I mean, in worst case scenario, if you don't pay Netflix or something like that, then they'll just cut you off. And that's the way it should be, isn't it? But of course the BBC will say, oh, we can't do that because BBC comes down your aerial. Well, do what pay-per-view channels do and just scramble the signal that way. You could either go the subscription route, or if you choose not to scramble the signal, you can actually finally go the advertising route, and then it would be companies who pay for the BBC and not actually us. But whether you like it BBC or not, this licence fee will cause a lot of people to actually boycott you and actually cancel their TV licence faster than I'm guessing a cucumber gets passed around in a woman's prison. But then again, of course, I could be wrong, but something tells me I'm not.